man, Oscar continues to surprise me and impress me, not just with his racecraft, but with just his overall work ethic and demeanor. It's a very, nothing gets to him, nothing bothers him. He is just so laser focused and so calm. And that race at Monza, where he overtook Lando on the outside, that was that FU attitude that all really good racers have.
Sean, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
I'm still a Lando fan, but I'm starting to recognize that Oscar might have the brighter future.
I think you're full of shit.
Yep. Speaking of getting the party started.
For the victory lap, though. They ain't never seen nothing like this before. Lit the room when I came through the front door. Ask me if I stress overcome, what for? Train in the trees, please pardon my sycamore. Touch burning sands, cross lands, and stormy shore seasons in the year, yeah. Switch gears, we keeping haters in the rear. At the blood, sweat, and tears, and my goal so near. I see my victory so clear. I see my victory so clear. And today, we break through. 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 And today, we break through.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into the newest episode of the Gridiron Podcast, the only podcast in the world that we know of that's equal parts grid and iron for our two loves, that being Formula One and football. It's episode 65, and I just watched Erik Karlsson win it for the Pittsburgh Penguins in overtime tonight. So we're dedicating this podcast episode to number 65, Erik Karlsson of the Pittsburgh Penguins. But we don't talk about hockey. We talk about the NFL, and we talk about Formula One. So let's get right into it, guys. Joining me, as always, our bald behemoth holding down the fort in the land. It's Nick Shook. Yeah, the vertical camera shot, not doing much for the flexing there, Nick, but we appreciate it. And then, of course, up in Kimberly, BC, our Canadian queen, Katie Caldwell.
Hello, friends. Welcome back, Sean.
Yeah, thank you. I had last week off because I was traveling a little bit, so thank you guys for holding down the fort while I was away. But now it's business as usual, and we have some new business because for the past, month or so now, we've actually had an Instagram account. We're on IG now. We're hip. We're with the kids or something or other. I don't know. You can find us there at the Gridiron Pod. That's at Gridiron Pod on Instagram. Nick can't throw up the lower third for you watching on Twitch and YouTube because, well, we're having problems with our lower third, and we don't want to put it up because it's embarrassing.
It is. It's very small.
Yeah. Definitely not a shower or a grower.
Despite what they say, size does matter.
Yeah, especially in lower thirds. In the world of journalism and media, yeah, size does matter. So you can find us at Gridiron Pod, right, Katie?
Yes.
Okay, at Gridiron Pod on Instagram. We post fun stories there. We post content from these episodes there as well, so you can find us there. You can also email us. Maybe Nick put this one up? You can email us at thegridironpodcast3. That's thegridironpodcast3. Damn those other two. At gmail.com.
I'm too ashamed of the size of these lower thirds to show them.
It's okay,
Nick.
There's a pill for that, man.
I know. It's the other things that make you love me. I know. Not the size of my lower thirds.
Thank God you have such a great head of hair. Got a great chin of hair, Nick.
Jesus
There we go.
We're just taking shots here. Again, this is episode 65 of the Gridiron Podcast. Got a lot to get into tonight because, guys, it's officially race week.
Which means
Formula One.
Which means
it's the week of the race.
It means this week there's a race. We're racing.
Dude, I can't take shots at Will Buxton anymore because I met him.
He has to know.
I met him at the St. Pete Grand Prix, his IndyCar debut broadcast. I'm leaving the track, and his golf cart pulls up right next to me. I say hi to him. He daps me up. It was a good, solid, almost like that. Not the Terminator. What's the movie with Arnold? And it was Predator. Yeah, Predator. You had the shot of the two dapping up and the muscles flexing. It kind of felt like that. It was like two worlds colliding. You can put that in post, Nick. But yeah, met Will Buxton. So I can't take shots at him.
Acquaintance of the show. He can't be friend of the show because he hasn't been on yet. But because he has acknowledged the show and listened to it, we'll say acquaintance. Acquaintance
of the show. Work proximity associate of the show. So we will get into our F1 talk. We'll give our predictions for the inaugural race of the season in Australia. It's coming up, depending on where you live in the U.S., on Saturday night, Sunday morning. And then it's also from where you are around the world. We have a lot of listeners in the U.K., so bright and early for you guys. Sorry about that.
What's up, England?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to talk about...
second biggest country.
For listenership or in the world? Because I don't think that's right.
For listenership.
I know we as Americans are bad at geography, but I'm pretty sure the UK, at one point, it was the biggest country, counting all overseas territory. But yeah, not anymore. Rule Britannia,
Yikes.
Britannia, rule the waves.
Yikes.
We're getting off the rails quick here tonight, guys.
Good.
So we will talk about F1 coming up in the second half of our show. We'll give our World Drivers' Championship predictions, and as well as some wacky predictions we think are going to happen this season. 24 races. We're going around the globe. I cannot wait, and it all starts this week. But we do have a bit more pressing matters because, like I said, we also cover the NFL in this podcast, and it is one of the busiest weeks of the year for our dear Nick Shook as an NFL.com talent writer because he is keeping his nose to the grindstone, covering free agency. So that's where we start this week because normally what we do when we cover and recap a week in the NFL, we give Nick's rapid reactions. We have a bit of a different Nick's rapid reactions this week. We have Nick's rapid free agency reactions. So we're just going to do some quick hitters here, Nick.
Okay.
But first, your thoughts on free agency. What has your life been like?
That is
past
such
72 hours.
There we go. Good follow-up because that was such a vague, just general question. Look,
Nick, tell us about free agency.
I have a great job, and I very much appreciate and value my job, and that is not questioned. But everybody knows that when you're getting absolutely just blasted at work, you're drenched, you're swamped, you're fighting to come up for air. Eventually, it can get a little tiring. That was essentially, honestly, it started Friday. Friday with the news of the trade of Geno Smith, which we'll get into, and following re-signings prior to the start of the legal tampering period, which, by the way, great oxymoron. And then we
Thank you.
We
At
went,
least you acknowledge it.
just dumb. And then we got into Monday. It really blew up on Sunday into Monday. And it didn't slow down until about 2 p.m. today, and then it picked back up at about 4:30.
Picked back up. And DeAndre Hopkins.
It happened so fast that when I actually get off of my news shift and get to the gym, by the time I get to the gym, like yesterday this happened to me, 5 different guys had signed. I was just reading the ticker on ESPN at the gym on TV, and I'm like, oh, wow, Dre Greenlaw going to Denver. Oh, wow, I missed that one too. What? This all must have just happened. My emails are just emails from the insiders. Just like Ian, Mike, Tom, sending stuff in, player after player after player after signing after signing after trade. So it's been a whirlwind, but it's nothing that I'm not used to. I've been doing this for a decade, and it's actually pretty invigorating, to be completely honest. Yes, I'm a little tired, but it's fun. It's like substantial news to discuss instead of making something out of nothing, which is what May is going to be in June. So I appreciate it while it's here. And we have so much has changed in the NFL landscape that we have so much to talk about. So I'll stop rambling now.
Sweet. Let's get right into it. We'll do some quick hitters here. Starting off with, hey, the winner, guys, of the Sam Darnold sweepstakes.
Oof. We did it,
the
guys.
Seattle Seahawks. Congratulations.
What,
I would offer congratulations, but I don't think it warrants more than one.
Well, it's like Sean just said, sweet, nice, cool, way to go, pal. It's like I texted you guys when Geno got traded. I think I followed up with Sam Darnold. You are a Seattle Seahawk. And sure enough, 3 days later, he was a Seattle Seahawk. Guys, look, and we'll go to Katie for the Seahawk corner take, but I understand the move. Geno's not getting any younger. Last year of his contract, I believe. But and scheme fit is really what it came down to. Clint Kubiak's offense isn't really made for what Geno does well. But we can't really diminish. Me and Greg talked about this on NFL Daily. The fact that Geno has played exceptionally well given his reputation when he arrived in Seattle. He's been an incredibly precise passer. He had some ups and downs. He kind of tanked the game against the Rams, which Greg pushed back on me about. But I maintained that he kind of blew that game. But he also had some incredible moments. And I don't think this is so much a team that is like, we missed the playoffs the last 2 years. We need to get better. It's a team that's like, we are changing offensive identity with a new coordinator, and we need a quarterback that fits that. Now, they're going to put him behind an offensive line that was not good last year. They're going to put him in an offense that lacks receiving options that they need to address, and it's not a good receiver market, both in the draft and the remaining talent. So that's going to be a problem unless they are able to take one of the top 2 receivers in the draft, because after that, it kind of goes off of a cliff. So Sam gets money, gets less than I think what his listed market value was, but still gets a contract off of the generally great performance he had this year. The Seahawks get their future, and they hope that it works out, whereas the Raiders get a quarterback that is going to help them be more competitive. Now, he's not going to go win them a Super Bowl, but they have answered their question after striking out on Matthew Stafford, and I think that's really what matters to Pete Carroll, who also gets a quarterback that he brought to Seattle before he left and had put into the game. So what you'll notice as we discuss these things, guys, and I know you already know this, but to the listener, there are going to be a lot of familiar connections between players moving to different places. Josh Sweat signing a deal with the Cardinals because his former defensive coordinator, Jonathan Gannon, is the head coach there. Gannon was the DC when he had his 2 best seasons with the Eagles. This is going to happen a lot because the NFL, while it's a major business, is a very tight-knit community, and it's all about who you know, and it affects even free agency, and I think this is a prime example of that.
Katie, your feelings on this, because I know last week I was the unfortunate one that broke all of the Seahawks news to you, DK and Geno and
both.
But we talked about at the end of last season how many millions of dollars Sam Darnold cost himself by having a lackluster finish to the season. But I mean, if he can do what he did in Minnesota and Seattle, I mean, $100 million, that changes your life, clearly. And if you're Sam Darnold at this point, that's not chump change, you know?
It's all fun and games being a member of the Darnold Hive when he's not on your team. It's pretty low risk, low pressure.
Fair point. That's a fair point.
I'm such a big fan of Geno Smith, and I think Sam Darnold did so well for most of the games. Obviously, the last 2 were really, really rough in Minnesota, where he was a product of his environment, where it was a good offensive line, it was a good offense, it was good coaching. The Seahawks don't necessarily have that. Like Nick said, they have no receivers. That offensive line is awful, and they haven't made a lot of big moves so far, and I don't know what they're going to do in the draft. I think they have 5 in the top 3, which is good, but I don't see Sam Darnold set up in the same way, and we saw that in the last 2 games against the Lions and against the Rams. He started seeing ghosts again. The Lions game, he was holding onto the ball so long, and then the Rams, he got sacked 9 times in one game, in a playoff game. When it fell apart, and I get nervous being a new Sam Darnold fan, watching him on my team, where he's just not going to be set up in the same way. There's a lot of quarterbacks that could step into that position that he was in the Vikings that could do really, really well, and he did really well for the most part. Does it feel good as a Seahawks fan? Nope. But that's what they were going to do. It was the most obvious move. It was the best quarterback they could have taken in these circumstances where you're not going to draft a QB this year. But is it going to look really pretty all the time, and especially right away? Absolutely not. They have problems in the run game too. Their defense is really good and can keep them in a lot of games. I'm not super stoked on this offense.
Yeah, exactly.
Of right now.
My only question is, all right, you got the guy that's going to throw the ball. Who the hell is going to catch it?
Well, why is that,
Jake
Sean?
Bobo. Because JSN's going to be double covered.
Yeah. Let's make the Seahawks corner, Sean. Might as well advance to the next news item that relates to the Seahawks, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm pulling up which is, of course, DK Metcalf to the Steelers. Sorry, Katie. I'm sorry.
Well, that's why she's pouring a beer into that mug.
I'm not sorry, but I'm sorry. I am enjoying it.
Next time, leave that unmuted. I want to hear that. Matt sound, baby.
Glug, 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 glug. I am enjoying the memes as a Steelers fan of just how many DBs should fear for their lives, having DK Metcalf on one side of the field and George Pickens on the other. This is the all crash out team in the NFL. This is going to be interesting to watch. And kind of to the point that I made to Katie, I have the opposite problem. We have the studs. We have the stallions that can go and catch the ball. No idea who's going to be throwing it to them. So kind of the opposite problem.
Yeah, that's the issue is, look, Sean, you're staring down the barrel of having Aaron Rodgers or another year of Russell Wilson. because Justin Fields is with the Jets now. And
hey, man, I love going 10-7 and an early exit in the playoffs.
But at least you have 2 receivers to root for now, and 2 mercurial receivers, one slightly less than the other. Also, Sean, I'm just going to tell you this now because I don't know if Steeler fans have, while they are basking in the glow of having 2 big playmakers at receiver, I don't know if they understand that this probably means Pickens is going to be gone in a year.
Yeah, probably. No, we understand that.
And it's a guy who's older and going to command more money, but they're not going to dedicate money to both of those guys. So enjoy it while you have it, and it all comes down to who's throwing them the football. And it's not a good draft or quarterback. So you're going to find yourself, I think, in a place that you've already really been in for a few years, which is, we'll try this guy at quarterback. We'll sign this guy. We'll try this guy. Isn't it?
We're not.
Sean Barie, who at the ripe age of 10 years old got Ben Roethlisberger on his team and had stability for 20 years.
Yep.
Is now in quarterback carousel hell like I've been my whole life.
I wouldn't even call it hell. I wouldn't call it hell, Nick. It's purgatory because, like I said, 10-7 and a playoff first round, second round exit. I'm going to give them too much credit at this point. A playoff first round exit, let's be honest. That's not hell. That's as purgatory as it gets. That's the difference between the Browns and the Steelers. Y'all are in hell. Like 7th circle. Kenny Pickett is about to be trotted out there.
No, that's insurance. They're gonna throw the spaghetti. I mean, they had 5 starters and they made the playoffs one year. Like, they had 3 or 4. They had 4 last year.
Y'all are going to talk about that season like it's the cardiac kids. Mark my words. In 20 years, y'all are going to talk about that one season.
It was
Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco, man,
it was
off the couch, but
it was
understandably so, especially for a franchise that has such low expectations or a low standard for great moments. But point being is that you are now in the world of instability at quarterback in which you have no idea what's coming. And I've seen many a good receiver wasted by average to subpar quarterback play. So I'm not here to throw water on the burning fire of ecstasy that comes with getting DK Metcalf and pairing him with George Pickens. But, we talked about size earlier. Let's just say you may or may not be left with a couple of stones that are this color.
Jesus Christ.
For our audio listeners, Nick just held up a blue bottle. I believe he was, just look it up. Just give it a bit. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, right now it's the Russ and Aaron sweepstakes. One's going to the Giants, the other's going to the Steelers.
Flerman's son.
Yeah, for real. The thing is, too, I saw a meme tonight where it was that, cartoon of someone reaching a fork in the road. Both said 10-7. Under one was Russell Wilson. Under the other was Aaron Rodgers. It doesn't matter.
The illusion of choice.
Exactly. Either way, the result, I believe, is going to be the same. Frickin' sign me up. Let's just go see if DK can go run some deep routes. Like, it's just... You even had Ben Roethlisberger on his podcast talking about how exciting it would be to watch those two. And he's like, I might have a few throws left in me. And I'm not kidding you. So many Yinzers took that as real. So many Yinzers were like, oh, yeah, actually, Ben's looking like skinnier, which he does look skinnier than his final playing years. Like, he looks like he's healthy. I'm like, no, guys, do we remember? No. As immobile as Aaron Rodgers is, do we remember how immobile? I watched Ben Roethlisberger in his final season score a 1-yard touchdown run, and it looked like he was running a marathon. Like, that's how bad it was in his final season. So let's just put that to bed. Ben ain't coming back. Doesn't need to come back. So if it's Aaron Rodgers, I don't really want to have to root for Aaron Rodgers.
Imagine it is like, my gut says it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. You mentioned the crash out with DK Metcalf and George Pickens. This is like first team all crash out if they are led by Aaron Rodgers, who notably is so loving and receptive to his receivers when they make mistakes. Like, I could see a 3-way fist fight happening on the same team here. Before the season.
Do not want to see any of that.
I do.
Come to pass.
I do.
I cannot gear myself up to rooting for Aaron Rodgers. I will have to, but I just can't mentally right now find the space to go, yeah, Aaron Rodgers is a Pittsburgh Steeler, let's go. It was a little easier when you had someone to root for like Russell Wilson or like Justin Fields, because both of them were reclamation projects. It's like, hey, I want to feel good for these guys. I don't want to feel good for Aaron Rodgers, ever. But if it's for the benefit of my team, what the hell?
I mean, it could be worse. You could be staring down the barrel of Daniel Jones. It could always be worse.
I'm glad that wasn't it, because so many reports were coming out. It's like, oh, the Steelers are interested in Daniel Jones. Dear God, no. Please, no. For clarity, my preference was Justin Fields. Because while he might not be the best, he is not 40 years old. His career, whether it is as a starter or as a backup, is still in front of him in the NFL. He will have a career in the NFL because of his talent alone. That is why I wanted him to stay. And I'm kind of surprised that he only commanded 2 years, $40 million from the Jets, $30 million guaranteed. I mean, that's not a lot of money for a quarterback. So I don't know what happened there, but I'm kind of upset that the Steelers didn't hang on to him. Go for it. Tell me.
He wanted an opportunity to start, and that bridge was burned when he got benched for Russell Wilson last year. It's as simple as that.
There couldn't be any guarantees, though, that, hey, we're going to bring you back and you will be the starter.
I don't know what happened behind closed doors, but apparently they weren't aggressive enough to convince him to not go looking elsewhere and got an offer. I mean, $20 million a year for Justin Fields, that's pretty good money.
That's pretty good money.
Not for the team, but for him.
I think I would have paid him that because his prove-it deal was last year.
And what did he prove?
Honestly,
nothing. He proved, this curiosity is justified. Let's give it another go.
There's curiosity, but that's it. So many Steelers fans on social media and friends of mine from back home, oh, he let Justin Fields go. Guys, if you were that upset about it, you would have been calling for him starting after he got benched. But you didn't, because we do have to admit the offense improved for those, 7 weeks before that 5-game losing streak. Like,
it was that long? I don't think it was that long.
Yeah, it was that long. I think they went like 5-2, and then they completely just went down. Russ started.
But does that mean I don't think Russ was good for that long of a stretch.
Yeah, he was, because there was that deep ball connection that just wasn't there. The offense was improving. The points per game was improving. Everyone was like, okay, got to give Mike Tomlin his flowers. It wasn't a call I would have made, but he made the right call, clearly. If we were going to miss Justin Fields that much, I feel like there would have been some sort of call for him to be starting quarterback during the season, not now. We forget that,
there was.
Not that much.
There were some folks out there saying, go back to Justin Fields during that losing streak, and they didn't. Yeah. And that might have been the final nail in the coffin.
But I'm just saying, his play over the first 6 weeks when the Steelers went 4-2, which wasn't bad, but it also, it wasn't enough to make me go, we got to hand the keys to this guy. Like, it's just like, oh, there's curiosity there. I want to see what he can do with a full season, and that's why I wanted him back. I wanted to see what he could do for a full season, but it is what it is. I feel bad that
they were having
the Jets,
a bit of a mid-off.
Yeah.
There was no perfect solution between either of them.
Mid-off. I'm just sad that he went to the Jets because they know how to develop quarterback talent.
They sure do. They have a rich history.
Sean, you could sell me a rusted out Pinto with that approach. My God.
So Justin Fields is a Jet to the tune of 2 years, $40 million. Best of luck to him. Sorry it didn't work out in Pittsburgh. I'm sure it's going to be great, and your career is not going to tank. And where checks notes, New York. Oh God. All right, Vikings.
Everything's fine.
Vikings guys. Nick, I'm going to let you take this one because the Vikings have just been making moves left and right, and along with the Patriots, they might be like the free agency darlings here this year.
A little bit of your Pittsburgh just came out there.
Darlings.
Along with the
I'm sorry, I was in Pittsburgh last week, and it started. I kept hearing the accent. Hey, do you want a booth or a high top? I'm like, oh God.
All right.
I love hearing Pittsburgh Sean come out.
We used to have a segment on this show back in the old days of the Sean and Shook podcast that was, what did we call it? Yinzer Bob or something like that. And I would just put on sunglasses.
Bring it back.
Talking to Yinzer accents.
Actually, you know what? Do that, Sean.
What would you like me to talk about?
Yinzer Bob reacts to Justin Fields' departure and the possibility of Aaron Rodgers being the quarterback of the Steelers. Hold on. Uh-oh, he's gonna get dressed. Those of you who are watching, or not watching, but listening on podcast form, where most of the audience exists, Sean is putting on aviators, and
we're getting the props out for this.
Okay. Oh God, you kind of look like your dad.
Excuse me. Dan. Canny, Keller. All right. You guys don't know what I'm talking about here, but watching Justin Fields pick the Jets over the Steelers, I mean, what is he doing? Like, the guy doesn't need $40 million a year. That can get you a hell of a lot of chip chop ham sandwiches down at Giant Eagle. I don't know what he thinks he's going to do over there in New York. He ain't even in New York. He's in New Jersey. Who wants to go play football in New Jersey? He needs to be down there at Acrisure. I'm sorry. It's always going to be Heinz Field to me. Got to be down there at Heinz Field, chucking it to DK Metcalf and George Pickens. I don't know what this guy Fields thinks he's doing. Bring on Aaron Rodgers. I think he's going to be a great guy for the Steelers.
Bravo.
Sorry, that just took me to a very dark place, guys. I'm back now.
Wow, it warms my heart to see the return of Yinzer Bob. This is more characters on the Gridiron podcast. All right.
That was
Vikings.
hauntingly beautiful, Sean.
It was.
Thank you.
Hauntingly is the perfect way to describe it, Katie. Great use of an adjective there. Vikings re-signed Aaron Jones. Katie and I talked about this last week. They got him at a number higher than I thought they would. But a good reward for him, even though he's over 30 years old. I would imagine most of that 2-year, $20 million deal is front-loaded because we all know what happens when you turn 30 and you play running back. They also bolstered the offensive line. They signed 2 Colts. Center Ryan Kelly, who I'm shocked that he signed with anybody other than the Colts because I think he's been flirting with retirement a little bit. Will Fries also goes over there in a 5-year, $88 million deal. And then they went to the defensive side and stayed in the trenches. Jonathan Allen, cut by the Commanders, picked up with a nice little contract by the Vikings. 3 years, $51 million with a max value of $60. When they say max value, that means incentives, roster bonuses, that sort of thing. Byron Murphy sticks around on a 3-year, $54 million deal. And as I stifle a cough, safety Theo Jackson, 2 years, $12.615 million for the safety. Oh, and they signed a punter too. Okay, now I must cough.
He is a champ, everybody. Nick Shook is an absolute champ when it comes to podcasting. That's why he is the bald behemoth. He holds down those coughs. As
I heard Yinzer Bob in that sentence. I'm so happy about this. I heard it sneak back in.
What did I say?
Podcast.
The pod.
Oh my God. How many girls did I know from Pittsburgh? Oh my God, in college.
I don't want to talk about it because you guys say milk and pillow.
I don't.
And calendar and
Pillow,
salad.
milk.
Who says calendar?
Dude.
In this, the year of our Lord 2025.
Salad.
Ask my better half who says calendar and
That's because she's
salad
from Cleveland. She's got
and
the Cleveland A.
Valentine's Day.
She's got the Cleveland A. Flashes.
Go Flashes.
Go Flashes. Vikings. What do we think? Lots of moves.
We're bouncing in and out of this.
Back
This
on
is what we
track.
come to.
This
Love
is
here
a
at the
crazy
Gridiron Podcast.
taxi tonight.
Look, like I said, I feel like the Vikings are kind of the free agency darlings just because they're making the right moves. The big question is, what do you do now at quarterback? Consensus is, I guess you got to go back to J.J. McCarthy. He got injured before the season even started last year, which was unfortunate for him. Yeah, that price tag was probably too rich for them to keep Sam Darnold. But, they're putting good pieces around him, right? And they're protecting him. They're like, we don't know what we're going to get with J.J. McCarthy, but we're at least going to have these good pieces around him. It also doesn't hurt that you have like you said, a veteran running back, but someone that's still got some tread left on the tires. And then you got 2 studs at wide receiver. Like, the barn, the cupboard is not empty here in Minnesota. So as long as J.J. McCarthy can be serviceable, they're still going to be in a good situation.
Katie?
I don't have a lot of thoughts about this. I was busy doing other NFL stuff today, so I saw that they made some moves, but I'm sitting here learning all of this in real time. I put it in the doc. Vikings made some moves, and then I'm like, I can't wait to find out what they are. I had a busy day.
Honestly, when you think about free agency, you don't often want to be the winner because the winner ends up being the loser in the field. On the field
I feel like, yeah.
But the Vikings had a lot of money to spend, and I think they addressed some needs. They don't need a receiver. They kept their running back. They had bolstered the offensive line. They got beefier up front. Like Jonathan Allen and Harrison Phillips, that sounds like such a fun combo. A lot of beef up there. And Theo Jackson, a nice little addition to the back end of the secondary. Yeah, I mean, solid stuff. And who doesn't love a punter signing? It doesn't really move the needle for me, but the Vikings usually just don't move the needle for me. And I'm sorry in advance to all you Vikings fans because you won a lot of games this year. But the splashes weren't there, which often is a good sign because usually in order to get the splash, you must overpay. So good job out of you, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. You had a busy Tuesday morning, and your team's social media squad posted a picture of you smiling, looking back at the camera from the sidelines during a game. So happy for you and your moment in the sun. More work left to be done.
I'm not going to lie. I was reading a story on Fox 13 the other week, and the GM's name was in there, and I'm like, nope, skipping over that one. Because I'd never said his...
Adolfo-Mensah.
I know, but I'd never said his name out loud before, and it was in the script, and I had not read the script beforehand, so I'm just reading through it at the prompter. And if you've ever done TV, you've had this moment where there's a word that you know you're not even going to try, and so you just skip over it or you ad-lib over it, and just like, and the Vikings GM, because I knew it was the GM, like, the Vikings GM just skipped over it. I'm like, I'm not even going to try, because I'm just going to look bad if I try anyway.
Speaking of prompters, Sean, do you remember that one time we were doing Friday Football Frenzy and our prompter broke?
No. I feel like I would. When did this happen?
Well, you know how you and I used to, like, we'd basically do our reads before we go to the highlights and, like, toss back and forth and, like, finish sentences for each other. And, like, essentially the prompter broke as you were finishing, and it was supposed to be me. And I just was like, and just, like, ran it up to the I don't know, just like blurted something out, and nobody could tell. And then afterward, we were like, "What the hell?" The prompter froze.
Just happened? The prompter just broke. No, I don't remember that. I feel like that would have been one of my first bleep moments in TV back in college. For those who don't know, Nick and I went to college together. We did a football show called Friday Football Frenzy, where we covered all the Portage County, Ohio high school football teams. It was 30 minutes long, 15 minutes of highlights. And then just for the heck of it, we would run the same highlights again in the second half of the show.
And we handed out awards.
Which is such lazy producing looking back on this. We're like, hey, if you missed the first half of the show, you're going to love the second half.
Because it's the same games
the same
again.
Thing.
Because it's not a big league. Won an award.
We did. We won Best College Sportscast our senior year. So that was fun. Speaking of the Vikings, they picked up a quarterback in Danny... Let me bring my Yinzer back out. Danny Dimes.
Wait a minute.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Danny Dimes is to the Colts.
The Colts, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, him and Richardson are having a
yes.
Poor producing.
I'm sorry. Poor producing. Poor hosting on my part. I'm so sorry. I apologize. And I flatulate myself in front of the legend that is Danny Dimes. But Katie, as you said, this is going to be a mid-off between Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones.
Very generous use. Very generous use
of the word mid-off.
Of whatever you said before that I've already forgotten. Katie, what do you think?
I mean, yikes! But what a nightmare for the organization if it actually is a quarterback battle. Like when they start to see both of them on the field at the same time, and if they're like, we might be leaning towards Daniel Jones a bit, Jesus, that's not a great scenario for them.
I mean, they went to Joe Flacco last year multiple times.
What was Anthony Richardson's draft number?
4.
Yeah, they benched the 4th overall pick for old man Joe Flacco. I don't think it can get much worse than that.
But not everybody's ready right away, and we've seen the flashes of it. But it's just, man, I'm nervous for Richardson. The floor is low, although we've seen the ceiling. The floor isn't super high necessarily. But I am curious to see, because right now they're going to keep saying there's going to be a quarterback battle. I'm just curious to see how that kind of plays out through camp and everything, because, yikes. There's also, it feels like there's a lot of people in that organization fighting for their jobs right now. Like, Steichen.
Yeah.
Ballard.
Ballard could have gotten fired this year.
I agree. He could have. So I
somehow
think
he didn't.
Sometimes it can be a bit of a mess when people aren't thinking about a long-term build of a franchise, when they're thinking I want a job at this time next year. Sometimes that just doesn't really work out necessarily.
Oh, you mean the time that Bill O'Brien took GM powers and just started trading guys left and right to save his job and ultimately still got fired? You mean that wasn't good, Katie?
You mean
what?
David Johnson 1-for-1 with DeAndre? Was it DeAndre Hopkins?
Oh yeah.
You mean that wasn't good?
Oh, my heart is on fire right now.
What a hot trade! It was so hot.
Some Tums.
Oh, in a good way.
Billy O'B.
The fact you just pulled that out, God, that is great recall. We gave Sean a clap for Yinzer Bob. We give one to Katie, too. My God.
One of my favorite trades.
Yes.
1 for 1.
Laramie Tunsil. Actually, that was a good trade when they acquired him from Miami. That was one of the good ones. But
It's
yeah,
the trade
David
that keeps
Johnson.
on giving at this point because Laramie Tunsil was traded yet again. Washington also could be probably the free agency darlings here too. But although
But my God, and this is no hate on your guy Bobby Wagner, Katie, but damn it, do they love to invest in old guys like Deebo Samuel, Bobby Wagner, Zach Ertz, Laramie Tunsil, all. Well, Deebo's not 30, but the rest of them are all 30 or older. My God. Ugh.
Some other quick free agency hitters. It seems like the Eagles kind of be picked apart a little bit, but that's what happens to Super Bowl champions.
Sorry,
You okay there, Nick?
Katie just gave a bump, and I was like, whoa, what happened there?
Okay.
I'm just knocking shit over everywhere. I thought the Bears did well.
Yeah. You've also got DeAndre Hopkins. He's going to the Ravens, so that offense is going to be scary again. Darius Slay maybe headed to the Steelers. That'd be nice. They just haven't announced it yet. Seems like that's all but a done deal. Bucks down here in Tampa holding on to Chris Godwin. Kind of figured that was going to happen. It's a good organization. Jason Light kind of knows what he's doing. And
Hassan Reddick? That was Bucks,
exactly.
right?
Hassan Reddick, 1 year,
Okay.
$14 million. That's pretty good.
Hopefully he plays this time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when you're only on a 1 year deal, you know.
Well,
And no state
I think
income
that's a
tax
good
can
move.
kind of.
That
Yeah,
was
it is a
smart.
good move because the pass rush, especially edge rushers for the Bucks, have been just non-existent over the past couple of years.
No, it's
So-
fine. It's just that when he went to the Jets, he just
I know.
refused to play.
Oh, I know.
There was a lot of drama, but I think, like, I'm curious to see how he looks on the field, but this could be a really, like, medium risk, high reward move, I think.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, $14 million.
Because not a lot of
for
money.
Yeah,
No.
for a good
Could be
pass
really
rusher.
good.
They
There was
need
just
to
a lot
fix-
of drama with his holdout, and the whole
Yeah.
situation was.
They just need to, and I mean that happened last year with Randy Gregory too. So hopefully history doesn't repeat itself at Bucks training camp. Anything
It is
else
hot
in free
down there.
agency? What's up?
No, I said it is hot down there, but no. I think we're ready to do what, friends?
It's
We're shifting gears. It is race week, guys.
Oh, and a perfect
It's
time to bring in the
motherfucking
chat.
race week.
Our friend Troy, I would imagine this is Troy Meeker, says, it's Rossik.
Oh, yes.
Man, I can't wait until we get to the Kentucky Ducking.
Oh, yeah.
I
yeah.
can't wait until we
And
get
the
to
Dutch
Kentucky
Grand
Ducking.
Prix.
We're
Dutch.
going
Where
Dutch.
are we going this week, you guys?
Dutch.
Dutch.
Where are we actually going this week?
Australia, Melbourne, mate. Yeah, kicking off the season in Australia. They used to do this years ago. Australia was typically the season opener. It got moved to Bahrain for a while, which just, I don't know, it didn't have the same razzle-dazzle to it because, I mean, those Aussies get after it down there for this race. So it's cool that we're going to do that. The breaking news today, though, was that the Australian racer on the grid. There's two now? Jack Doohan is Australian, right?
Yes.
I don't know.
I think he is. Jack Doohan's Australian. So there's two
Liam
Aussies.
Lawson's Kiwi, right?
He is Kiwi. Liam Lawson is Kiwi. So we got two Aussies. But one of them, Oscar Piastri, got signed to a multi-year extension by McLaren today. Announced just a few days before the race. What do you guys think about this? The whole, if you watched Drive to Survive yet, if you're not caught up, they play to the idea that McLaren have two number one drivers, and it's admirable, but is that really going to work in the long run? You got to pick someone eventually.
I am
So,
going to cede the floor to the Canadian Queen because she's got takes, Sean. Give him,
takes
Katie.
on takes on takes.
That doesn't sound like me. Yeah, the whole like, oh, we have two number one drivers. I said this to Nick last week, like, I would take Oscar over Lando if I was starting a team today. I figured that you wouldn't necessarily agree with that, but I'm such a big fan of Oscar. I think that was a no-brainer for them. I don't actually have a lot of takes on this. I read it and I was like, hell yeah, that's exactly what I would do. I would sign him. For as
Katie,
long
I'll
as
tell
I
you what.
can.
I know I never cease to surprise you, and that's not going to stop now. If you've watched Drive to Survive, and if you haven't, sorry, spoilers, but basically Drive to Survive in the All McLaren episode, we're asking all of the other team principals, who would you take in your car? And every single one
Yep.
of them said Oscar.
I felt very validated because Nick and I had
I'm
both said that on the last
starting
episode.
To agree. I'm starting to agree. I'm starting to agree because in that episode of Drive to Survive, you saw kind of like not a different side of Oscar. Oh, Nick, yeah, close that. I'm sorry, jaw was on the floor there, man. I'm not saying Oscar's going to beat Lando outright this year just yet, but what I am saying is I think Oscar does have the higher ceiling. If Lando can't raise his ceiling this year, absolutely, because Oscar is continuing to progress at a rate that was even faster than when Lando got into the sport. Obviously, they came in different situations. The McLaren car was not better for Oscar's first couple of races because it was absolute dog crap, but it has gotten better now and is the best car on the grid. But man, Oscar continues to surprise me and impress me, not just with his racecraft, but with just his overall work ethic and demeanor. It's nothing gets to him. Nothing bothers him. He is just so laser focused and so calm. And that race at Monza where he overtook Lando on the outside, that was that FU attitude that all really good racers have.
Sean, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
I'm still a Lando fan, but I'm starting to recognize that Oscar might have the brighter future.
I think you're full of shit.
Yep.
There is
how I really feel.
There is no freaking way that Drive to Survive and an off season of quiet time to really think about it swung you that you are pandering to the highest degree. And I, for one, reject your attempt to get on the right side of history when you've been on the wrong side for at least a year. Don't come over here now.
Hold on.
We don't have any seats for you.
Hold on. How was I on the wrong side of history when it hadn't even played out yet?
Because we all saw it before you did, because you were stuck to your whole loyalty to number 4 in your number 4 shirt and the name of your dog.
That's fine that I was stuck in my ways at that point, but like you can't fault me for now saying, hey,
People
I see
can't
something
change. I'm gonna change, I swear.
People don't forget. It's like 8 years
Here
ago.
I am, just a man, coming to you guys on the Gridiron Podcast and our fine viewers and listeners saying, I see something now, and I'm starting, mind you, to change my opinion.
I've been smacked over the head so many times that I can no longer ignore this. I must acknowledge that this bat is hitting me repeatedly, and it's no longer good for my health. And in order to survive, I must avoid the bat and accept defeat.
I only grabbed the frying pan 4 or 5 times before I realized it was hot, guys. I promise.
I, for one, love this development. I love
again,
it.
Look, let me clarify again. I'm not saying that Oscar's going to catch Lando this year, but I'm looking at it going, he might have the brighter future. Lando needs to improve. He needs to step up because he keeps doing this, trying to be everyone's friend. He even says in Drive to Survive, his biggest weakness is he cares what other people think about him. You cannot do that. And Oscar, pardon my French, clearly doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, he's ice cold. The man doesn't know how to have fun. He doesn't know how to enjoy things.
He has one level.
One level. My speed is high. His speed, very even.
I love when the interviewer asks him, because this was like after Lando had been, anointed as the number 1 driver way too late in the season last year. And they were like, are you okay with being Lando's number 2? And Oscar goes, no, not really. Like that was just his whole answer. But I love the, no. I'm like, this guy literally gives no Fs. He's like, he's been trained on how to deal with the media, and he's like, nah, I'm going to be myself.
No, here's what it is. He is an assassin.
I think so.
He has been trained from the time he was a child to never show emotion. It's probably unhealthy for him, but in this situation, it plays out perfectly. He's a stone cold, ice in his veins killer. And the first person he's going to kill is the other guy in Papaya when he proves his dominance and takes the number 1 seat. And then Sean's going to be chasing after the parade. I was part of this too. Let me have a place. I want to be part of the fun.
Papaya rules.
Papaya has been my color since day 1 in Formula 1, so I don't see how, like, just saying, hey, I acknowledge that Oscar might have the brighter future, how that's bad for this entire discourse, Nick.
Well, maybe I just want to play devil's advocate and heel
I was going to say, it seems like you're just kind of
maybe
like
I'm in a
annoyed
new
now
place
that
and I'm
have the best
feeling
car.
frisky, okay? Maybe I feel
Did you
a
just
little
John Cena?
frisky.
I feel like this is going to
did.
come to a point, though, where, like, because Zach Brown and Lando's relationship is kind of creepy at times, but, Lando's going to be walking by himself out of the paddock one day, and Zach Brown's going to be giving Oscar a ride in his golf cart, and Lando's like, hey, can I can I jump on? And there's going to be like 2 open seats in the back, and Zach Brown's going to be like, oh, sorry, we don't have any room. And just like drive off.
Yep, because it's a cutthroat
It's not
job.
you, Lando. It's me. Actually,
The vibe of
It is
Oscar
you.
and Lando together in that room in the Drive to Survive episode was wild when they were establishing the whole like you're gonna need to let him go or whatever, and the way Oscar was sitting there and Lando's looking at him and like looking at the camera. The tension was so tangible in that room. It was really, really wild. I liked some of this season of Drive to Survive for
I
just
will
things
say-
like that. Like they really dramatize a lot of the racing things, but for moments like that that you don't otherwise have access to, that's where I learned the most. Is like just checking out the vibe in the room. They were wild together, both Lando and Oscar.
But it's still a good working relationship too. And Lando even said he's like,
It seemed like it.
well, on during the Hungarian race where like Lando had to be, goaded into Lando, think of the team. You've proven your point. Give the place back. Lando was like, I wasn't going to do it because like in that moment you're thinking as a racer and you're not thinking clearly. And he was saying, I felt bad for Oscar after that because like to be fair, it wasn't Lando that put him in that position. It was McLaren, which we said this way back, during that race recap. But the thing I don't like about this season is they've used like the behind the scenes like chats with friends and family more, and it's so scripted because no one that you're friends with just walks in and goes, so how are the driver pairing working out this year? What do you think about upcoming race? It's just like so like, come on, yes, the mic'd up person that came to your house is now asking you interview questions about the topic that this season is on. Nick, can I help you?
Softballs.
Exactly. It's a little too scripted for me in that aspect. Katie, have you gotten to the Singapore episode yet?
Oh, I'm finished.
You're finished?
I'm caught up.
I have to ask, what did you think about the Singapore episode? Giving the drivers the live view app on their phones.
Oh, I thought that one was really cute, where it showed all of them like where they did like a mini doc. I thought that was really well done, and it was kind of unique for the series because we're on season 7 now, which
Season
it
7,
starts
yeah.
to feel a little bit repetitive. Like even though different things are happening on the track, like this season of F1 was so exciting, and they didn't even cover that as much as I kind of thought they would have, and I can
Yeah.
get into that later with the Lewis of it all, which I'm pissed about. To the surprise of exactly no one. But that was one of my favorite episodes, the Singapore one. I thought it was really cute. And then it was funny watching the guys have to go on the production side of things, where some of them had a pretty rough race and some were pretty pissed off with the other ones. And they were still having to do their like, hey guys, and like talking to like, they still had to finish producing like that mini episode. I thought that was a really interesting idea. And I thought it came through pretty well.
It did. I think that was the best episode of Drive to Survive ever. I watched it last night. My like jaw was on the floor because just as a storyteller, like and a journalist, Nick, what they did was they gave the drivers. I think they gave them the live view app on their phones because I think someone showed their phone. I think I recognized the logo on it and
live
stuff like that.
white U orange.
Yeah, exactly. So, and if you don't know that, live view is how like journalists and TV reporters out in the field broadcast live these days. It's just a little backpack that uses cell phone towers, but you can get it on your phone and it streams then to a location, to some sort of feed or cloud. And I think that's what they did. So every driver that they had in that episode was doing these like little, like almost like YouTube videos on their phones with selfies. And
It's called
stuff.
a vlog, Sean.
It was so cool. Yeah, a vlog. Thank
Actually,
you, Nick.
it's a vlog. I'm an
Oh,
influencer.
It was really cool, and I'm like, this is a cool dynamic because they didn't play into it in a corny way. They just used it as extra video, and it was kind of awesome.
And it really did showcase a lot of their like history, and it gave an opportunity to show a lot of like them coming up together and racing against
Yeah.
each other, and that's always so cute. Like the fact that I think it was 5 of them that really came up together.
Yep. By the way,
And
what do we
then-
think about Alex Albon and George Russell flying commercial to every race?
I love it.
I would like to end up on the plane with them. I mean, they'd be in first class, and Lord knows I
Yes,
don't
they
fly
were
first class. But
Clearly in first class, but can you imagine if you're just
I mean,
like
like-
walking to the back of the plane, it's like, you're George Russell.
George Russell, what are you just poodling around the plane?
Blimey.
No, blimey.
Yabba dabba do.
Poodling around the
Well, I'll be damned. Yabba dabba do. It's George Russell, big number 63, the man from the Polo Club himself. How you doing, kid?
And they also
George
Lando was-
also got a pretty rough edit that's where my production nerd point of view comes in and really thrives, is George. And things like that, you gotta wonder if, like, maybe the producers don't have that great of a relationship with him, because a lot of these same crews have been around a lot of these guys, and George got a pretty tough edit. Even just like little passive aggressive things, like where he goes in and he's wearing his flip flops and he's like, "Don't let my feet show on camera," and it's like the widest shot ever, and I'm just kind of like, tip the cap to you, producer. Liam Lawson also had a pretty rough edit, but I also thought he deserved it. He is so unlikable to me.
Logan Sargent also had a pretty rough edit. In that
If he was
didn't
even
have
there
one.
at all.
If it didn't have one. I forgot that Logan Sargent was even a driver, the American driver, not even shown at all, except for, I think he got a soundbite in because he was standing next to Lando in the Miami Drivers Parade.
Yeah.
So he was in the Lando episode.
Here comes my scene. Here comes.
It's like,
And it's over.
And it's over.
And it's over. And now he's out of racing pretty much altogether.
Did you guys have a stock up, stock down of drivers that... Nick, have you seen the whole thing yet?
Nah, I'm on the first episode.
Oh, okay. Sean, did you have a stock up, stock down of people that you kind of got to know a bit more?
I didn't think of it that way, I guess, but
Liam was stock down for me. Like,
I haven't
and
gotten
I
to
was
the end
already a
of
bit
it.
of a Liam Lawson hater.
I haven't gotten to the end of it. I would say stock up definitely for Alex Albon, because I mean, I know he's like he reps Thailand, so but I guess I didn't understand that Singapore was that much of a home race for him, because he is treated as a god in Singapore.
And at the
following
British
that he
Grand
had-
Prix, they don't acknowledge him, even though he's Thai British. That's always
Thai
I've
British.
talked about that in the pod before.
Yeah,
I've
I mean-
talked about that forever.
Hey, he probably doesn't really matter or care that much either, because he's like, yeah, I'm gonna represent Thai, because hey, it's very admirable, because when has the Thai flag ever flown on an F1 circuit? And if he ever wins a race, first time we ever hear the Thai national anthem, that'd be really cool. So it's a trade-off, I think. But stock up, Oscar, stock up, Max, JK. Just kidding, guys. I do love the part.
I have a stock up.
I've been converted already by Max. Everybody knows this.
Yep, Katie's a supporter now.
I do have to
strangely
say,
enough.
though, I love when Christian Horner was like, drive Netflix. Are you going to make me the villain again in season 7? And someone goes, when have we ever done that? Seasons 1 through 6? And everyone's like, but it's true. I mean, if the shoe fits, Christian.
I actually stock up to the directors and producers who did not avoid the Horner scandal, and
Yep.
they just dove right into it right away. Like I'm watching, I'm like, they're still doing this. Like this is awesome. Good on you guys for not whitewashing this like I thought they would.
Because they have with a lot of things in the
A lot.
series. Like, we've talked about it before. Like, the whole Pierre Gasly almost hitting a tractor in Japan when it was raining and they shouldn't have been on the track. The whole missile blast happening during, like, free practice
Yes.
2 in Bahrain. Like, there are certain things that were, like, really, really big stories in F1 that
was
didn't
that?
make the cut.
What
Nice,
It
John.
was-
Nice.
What happened?
Nice.
If y'all are going to call me out for my Yinzer accent, what was the blast?
Shut up, Sean! God!
A missile?
Missile!
Missile.
Shut up!
Where did that come from?
Do Canadians say missile?
Yeah, I think so.
Aluminium.
I don't say aluminium. Shut up.
I mean, I know the rest of like the English-speaking world says like missile, but like it's the North American accent to just kind of say missile.
Yeah, but you also, what was a Yinzer thing that you said? Calendar? I don't say calendar.
That's Cleveland. That's all Nick.
And not me, because I'm from Akron, and our A's aren't as hard.
We are a very not so diverse podcast, but with diverse accents.
Flag.
Flag. Sorry.
Sorry about that, eh? Okay. Let's go
Anyways.
enough of Drive to Survive. Let's go into the race itself. Australian Grand Prix season opener, 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be off work at 11:30. I will be racing home. I'm even going to use the toll roads to get home just early, and I'm going to crack open a beer at 11:55.
Oh, God, that means I have to stay sober enough to watch it on Saturday. Ooh, it's going to be a challenge.
You okay, Nick?
No, it's like St.
Do we need
Patrick's
to have,
Day.
like,
in
a
Cleveland, 'cause
conversation?
St.
Do we
Patrick's
need
Day
to
is
have a
next.
talk here?
No,
We're
St.
good?
Patrick's
Okay.
Day is next week, and
Oh, that's
so
true.
there's
Oh,
a lot of
yeah.
people
Saturday,
are
I
gonna
guess.
celebrate it on Saturday and go crazy. So I'm gonna have to be a bit of an adult.
As a quick aside, if I may have a sidebar, I feel
Plenty
like
of those.
St. Patrick's Day should be like one of those holidays where it doesn't matter what day it falls on, you celebrate it on that day. Like, who doesn't want to get blackout drunk on a Monday just
They
because
do.
it's March 17th?
They do in Cleveland. They have a big parade. People tailgate for it and line up really early, and
Yeah.
they go get Slyman's corned beef super early and everything. Like they start at like 5 a.m. They go nuts. But like I have a job to do because I work for a company that's based in LA and New York. They don't give a damn about St. Patrick's Day, so I got to do it on the weekend.
As another quick aside, do you remember, Nick, when we were in Estonia senior year of college for St. Patrick's Day and we were trying desperately to find green beer somewhere in the capital city of Tallinn, and nobody knew what the hell we were talking about?
We'd go to bartenders in Tallinn and just be like, "Do you have any green beer?" And they're like, "What? Why would
We
it be
introduced-
green? We have absinthe."
We introduced the country of Estonia to St. Patrick's Day that night. Because they were, and the best part was the students we were with, they were down. They're like, let's do it. Like, we know what
they
St.
didn't
Patrick's
need
Day
much
is.
of a reason to drink.
Like,
I think we drink like every day there.
We don't do that here, but like, we'll do it. We'll celebrate it with you. We're like, hell yeah.
The beer was cheaper than the water. What can I say?
The beer was cheaper than the water, which is awesome. Awesome country. Go to Estonia if you ever can. Shout out Giannis. All right, Australia Grand Prix. Should we do our podium predictions first, or should we? Yeah, let's do our podium predictions first. Then we'll do our other predictions for the season. How about that, guys?
Sure.
Sure.
So knowing what we know from testing, which is not a whole heck of a lot, what do we think for the top three? Who wants to go first?
Katie, chivalry is not dead. Go ahead.
I don't know with this one because it sounds like it's gonna rain. So
It's gonna
I
rain.
think it's gonna be a spicy one.
Six rookies.
Six
starting
rookies.
this book. Six Wookiees.
Six Wookiees.
That's going to be clipped by AI. Six rookies on the grid, and it's going to rain. Oh boy, we're in for an all-timer.
Yeah.
I think so, too.
I love chaos. We love a rain race. And while the Canadian rain race is still my all-time favorite rain race, Australia has the potential to be nearly just as entertaining, especially considering it's a season opener and all those Wookiees out there.
Never going to live that one down.
He's a Wookiee quarterback. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. Having said that, who's the mutter out there? Who's got the car that's the mutter? Because rain levels the playing field, which would neutralize McLaren and their still bendy flex wing. And at that point, it comes down to skill. So let's get wild, and not to steal your thunder, Katie. Actually, no, let's go to you because it was your prediction to begin with.
No, steal my thunder. Steal it.
I'm
I
sorry.
give it to you.
I jumped the line like an asshole. I pledge I was a jackass. It was me. Oh no, now my camera's gonna start tracking my face. Here we go. All right. We are going Lewis Hamilton P1 because he is
That's what mine was, Nick. I
the
should've gone
best
first. Go on.
rain
I
racer.
knew Katie's was going to be Lewis.
He's the best rain racer on the track. And then we'll go with experience. So we'll go Max P2. And then we're going to go wild card. And we'll go Oscar P3.
Okay. Katie?
I'm going to say Lewis, P1. I trust him in the rain. P2, let's go Fernando Alonso.
I was
Something
thinking
cool.
about it.
Let's
I
get
was
weird.
thinking about
Let's
it.
get-
Yeah.
let's
get real
guys.
weird.
Yeah, I was thinking about it.
And then P3, I was almost wanting to say Kimi Antonelli, but I have a feeling that at least 5 to 6 of the Wookiees are going to crash on the first lap because it's going to be raining a ton. What, Sean? What?
That was so seamless. Katie. That was amazing.
And then I'm going to say Charles Leclerc, P3. Those are my 3.
Oh, I'm so excited we're back. Oh my God.
Are we so back?
We are
Guys.
so freaking back.
I feel like
Are we back?
we're back, guys.
I think we're back.
We
We
need a
might be
breaking
back.
news ticker. For
Hold on a
this.
second. Let me check.
It's too small,
Yeah, we're
Katie.
back.
It won't have the emphasis.
Oh, hey, my phone just went off. I just got an alert. We're back.
If you can't feel it, it doesn't matter.
When are we back?
We're back.
We're back.
We're already there, baby. We're already back. We're so back.
Are we back?
It's going to make an amazing promo or lose us a lot of viewers. My top 3, I will say I trust Lewis in the rain. Best rain racer on the grid right now. That is not a disputable fact. But I don't trust the Ferrari right now. Didn't look amazing in testing. It looked like the second best car. They still looked like they had some problems to figure out. I don't know if they were sandbagging. We'll see. Testing is all about,
Doesn't matter.
yeah.
Testing?
I will say, and Nick is gonna chew my head off for this.
Question?
We're checking.
But I kind of want it to happen
got
because
it.
it's his home race. I'm going Oscar Piastri P1.
Okay.
I will I will go Lando Norris for the 1-2 lockout.
Oh, gross. I want to
Lewis
throw up.
P3.
Gross.
Fire me back into the sun.
Yeah, I don't even
came
want to be
back.
here
Katie's
anymore.
face got stuck on my computer when she cringed right there. McLaren looked like they have the fastest car. I don't know if rain is going to be the great equalizer here. It might be. It usually is. But I still think that they have the fastest car. It looked like they were sandbagging the most at testing because there were a lot of aborted laps when it was like purple, purple. And let's back off here, guys, a little bit. Don't need to let everything out of the bag. So, yeah, give me a McLaren 1-2. I don't think this is going to be like the dominant car like that Mercedes was or that Red Bull had. You know, this is still going to be an amazing season of racing. So, yeah, give me McLaren 1-2 with Oscar taking the win in his home race. Crowd goes wild. And then we'll go Lewis P3, giving us that glimpse of, ooh, here come the Tifosi.
Ooh.
All right. That's our podium predictions for Australia. By the way, we need to do and we can actually do a proper, fantasy draft this year.
No, we can't.
Because we can do
There's 20
all
drivers.
10
There's
teams,
20
all
There's 20 drivers. We can't do it. There's 20 drivers. The math ain't
drivers.
mathing.
Okay, so we leave out like the
worst two.
Yeah, like who cares? But that's part of the game here.
You're out, Sauber.
It's part of the game here. Yeah,
It's
both
so-
Sauber drivers.
It's so crazy that this time of year, like this time last year, the last season was so good, but we didn't know that this time last year. We just thought it was going to be much of the same as the year before, and we're like looking ahead to 2026 for the regulation change. I'm just so hyped that we're all sitting here and none of us have a fucking clue what's about to happen.
Nothing.
Because
we know
this
nothing.
time last year, we're all like, oh, Max P1. Oh, maybe not, but like, but this just, it could be 4 or 5 different teams. This is crazy. I'm so hyped. I haven't been this hyped for a season before.
That leads me to our next category is let's come up with some weird predictions for the season. Not the World Drivers' Championship just yet, but some weird predictions for the season. And I'm going to go first, if you guys don't mind. Chivalry be damned. I think 5 race wins out of a 24-race calendar. 5 race wins get you the title.
Wow.
That's
I
how
like
close I
that.
think this season is. I think 5 race wins get you the title.
Okay, that's a
Okay.
hell of a bold prediction. I like it, Katie.
Oh, I feel like my bold prediction will also give away my top 3 in the standings. But, guys, I think Lewis gets his 9th championship. His first year with Ferrari. He has 8 in my heart and in my mind. I think it's gonna happen. Don't just you just stop. Everybody went nonverbal. Stop
Well,
looking at me
Nick
like
is just annoyed because every time he mentioned that Lewis really does have 8 championships, he's like, no, he doesn't.
No,
Nick.
I was on the edge of my seat. Don't put words in my mouth there, panderer.
You looked like it.
Well,
Wow, the excitement was.
You had me in your grasp. I was like, oh, what's she gonna say next?
she gonna
Oh
say
my
next?
god.
Don't patronize me.
I wasn't. I'm being
my friend.
honest.
Yeah, let me think of a more bold one for next week, but that's my gut. I'm gonna say Lewis wins his next championship, his first year with Ferrari.
All right, Nick.
And I'm gonna be super normal about all of it.
Red Bull finishes
Totally.
out as a team. As a team, Red Bull finishes outside of the top 2 constructors. Not that bold,
They did
actually.
last year.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not that bold of a prediction when they finished 3rd last year.
Individually, both of their drivers finished outside of the top 3 this
Okay,
Okay.
I like that. I like
Okay,
that.
that's better. That's better. That's better. So you're saying Max Verstappen will not be in 3. I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, then, guys. Your top 3, your podium in the World Drivers' Championship race. Katie.
Lewis Hamilton. Oscar Piastri.
No.
What? Get out of here.
I'm just sad because I'm going to have the same answer.
Oh. And
I always gotta
then
be the
Charles
difference
Leclerc.
maker here.
Charles Leclerc? Okay. Well, Ferrari 2 or 1-3. Okay.
Nick.
I was gonna say Lando. I think that's what you were gonna say, but it could be Max too. It could be Max. He's so good.
Lewis Hamilton. Oscar Piastri. Lando Norris.
Okay.
P3. Charles Leclerc. P2.
Rigatoni.
P2, rigatoni.
He's not.
P1,
That's why
pappardelle.
it's funny.
All right, P3, Charles Leclerc. P2, OP, Oscar Piastri. P1, Lando Norris.
She just had to break up my laughing fit with putting Lando on top of the podium, you jackass. He panders the whole show about Oscar and then puts Lando P1. You're a villain.
Reeling you in.
You're
Just
a
reeling
villain.
you
I
in
knew
before
you were
cast
full of
you
shit.
knew it.
I knew
fell
you
for
were
it.
full of shit.
But you know what? No.
I'm outta here. I fell for it.
No. Bye, Katie.
Believe it.
I can still see your arm.
Still see
Everything's
your
shaking.
arm.
Everything's shaking.
This is going so far off the rails.
Best show ever.
If I can defend
We're so
myself for a
back.
second, what I said was Oscar has the higher ceiling later. I didn't
No,
say
don't
it would be
explain
this year.
yourself. Don't
I
explain
did say
yourself.
you can
I
rewind the
don't
tape.
want it.
Rewind the tape. I said
don't want
I'm
it.
not saying Oscar's going to catch
Go
him
to the
this year
tape.
because I don't think he will. Lando gets his first and probably only drivers' championship.
Well, prepare to be disappointed because he's the greatest choke artist on the grid. And with that, this has been episode 65.
Nick goes for the jugular, folks. You don't want to mess with him.
Feeling frisky, man. Feeling frisky. New home. Feeling frisky.
For Frisky Nick and Katie Caldwell, I am Sean Barie. This has been episode 65 of the Gridiron
Not
Podcast.
Frisky Nick.
That sounds so creepy. Oh, no.
I can't tell you how much if my name was Nick, I would never want to be called Frisky Nick.
Frisky
would you
Nicky.
Why would you do that to a single man? Jesus. Hi, everyone. I'm Frisky Nick. Do you find yourself a little too preoccupied with getting frisky? New from the makers of Viagra comes handcuffs. Put these on and they'll hold you down.
I feel like I need an adult right now.
Frisky Nick and Katie Caldwell. I can't control my voice. I'm Sean Barie. Thank you for listening and watching episode 65
crying?
of the Gridiron Podcast. Yes.
You can follow us on Instagram at GridironPod and also send us an email. Did you like the episode? Did you like us, how unhinged we got? How many asides Sean just took in the last 15 minutes? Katie's strange Canadian accent. Sean's absolute teardown of the Cleveland A, which is valid, by the way. Awful accent to immediate.
At Sean Barie
immediate.
TV, at Katie Loris, and at the Frisky Nick.
And
That's where you can find us.
You have to change it now.
email us at the Gridiron Podcast 3. That's the Gridiron Podcast 3.
Damn, those other two.
At gmail.com. We have to end this. Good night, everybody. Thank you. We'll see you next week.
Why would happen, Sean?
Good night, Good night, Canada.
Happy retirement, Ray Gun.
Frisky Nick.